Okay, before starting the enterohepatic circulation, let's briefly summarize. Let's briefly summarize what we have previously studied. We have in the previous class we have studied the function of liver. In the second class we have studied one of the primary function of liver is secretion of bile juice. So, how the bile juice is secreted? Bile juice is secreted mainly from the hepatocytes, and these hepatocytes it will pour the secretion into the bile canaliculi, and from bile canaliculi it is carried by the bile is secreted from the hepatocytes and it is poured into the bile canaliculi. From bile canaliculi, it will terminate in the terminal bile duct, and from bile duct, it will pour the secretion into the hepatic duct. It will join the hepatic duct. Hepatic duct join the cystic duct to form common bile duct. And sorry for disturbance. Bile is secreted from the hepatocytes and it is poured into the bile canaliculi. From bile canaliculi, it is drained into the bile duct, and from bile duct, it is joined by the hepatic duct. Hepatic duct join the cystic duct to form the common hepatopancreatic duct, and it opens into the duodenum, and this duodenum is guarded by ampulla of Vater. Hepatocytes mainly secrete the bile salts, bilirubin, cholesterol, lecithin, and fatty acid, and the bile duct epithelial lining, hepatic duct epithelial lining, it will secrete mainly the water solution of sodium bicarbonate in response to secretin. Again, I'm repeating it. Hepatocytes mainly secrete the bile salt, bilirubin, cholesterol, lecithin, fatty acid, and in response to secretin on the epithelial lining of the bile duct, hepatic duct, it will secrete large amount of water solution of sodium bicarbonate. So it makes the composition of bile. And we have studied the composition of bile is mainly the water, bile salts, bilirubin, cholesterol, fatty acid, lecithin, sodium, potassium, chloride, bicarbonate, calcium. Again, hepatocytes mainly secrete the bile salts, bilirubin, cholesterol, fatty acid, and in response to secretin in the bile duct, epithelial lining of bile duct and the hepatic duct, it will secrete large amount of water solution of sodium bicarbonate, and it makes the composition of bile. And the composition of bile is water, bile salts, bilirubin, cholesterol, lecithin, fatty acid, and sodium, potassium, chloride, bicarbonate, and calcium. Now, we have also studied the important function of bile, and mainly the bile acids. And we also studied that what are bile salts. Bile salts are mainly the sodium and potassium salts of bile acid conjugated with either glycine or taurine. These are called the bile salts. Again, bile salts are sodium and potassium salts of bile acid conjugated with either glycine or taurine is called bile salts. And what is the important of bile salts? We have already said that bile salts it helps in the digestion and absorption of fat. Means bile salts it will cause the emulsification of fat. What these bile salts will do that bile salts generally decrease the surface tension of the lipid. Bile salts decrease the surface tension of the lipids, and in the intestine, due to agitation or segmentation movement of intestine, it will cause breakdown of large fat globules into smaller droplets, and pancreatic lipase it will act on it, and this pancreatic lipase will degrade this fat droplet fat into fatty acid and glycerol. And this bile salts will what bile salt will do that this bile salt will form a micelle and it will transport the lipid into the intestinal mucosa. In this way, bile salts help in the absorption of lipid. Again, important function of bile salts is it helps in the emulsification of fat. What it means that bile salt it will reduce the surface tension. It will reduce the surface tension of the lipid, and in the intestine due to segmentation movement or agitation, this will cause breakdown of fat into smaller droplets, and pancreatic lipase it will act on the fat droplets, and this will degrade fat droplet into fatty acid and glycerol. Now, bile salt will form a micelle. Bile salt will form a micelle in the lipid. Bile salt will form a micelle in the lipid, and bile salt will carry this lipid to the intestinal mucosa. In this way, it will help the absorption of fat. So, bile salt's main function is the digestion and absorption of fat. Now, up to this we have studied, and we also studied that how it is regulated, or how the gallbladder contraction is regulated. Means during the interdigestive period, when there is no food in the intestine, then this is called interdigestive period. In the interdigestive period, due to sphincter of Oddi is closed, now the bile will backflow into the gallbladder through cystic duct. In the gallbladder, it is stored. And it gets concentrated. In the gallbladder, it is stored and it gets concentrated. And when there is meal, then this gallbladder get contracted and the secretion or the bile is flowed into the duodenum. So how the regulation of gallbladder contraction? One of the hormone, that is cholecystokinin. Cholecystokinin cause the contraction of gallbladder. And relaxation of sphincter of Oddi. From where the cholecystokinin is produced? When the fatty food or breakdown products of protein, it reaches the duodenal mucosa. When the fatty food or breakdown products of protein, when come in contact with the duodenal mucosa, it will release cholecystokinin. Duodenal mucosa will release cholecystokinin, and this cholecystokinin is a hormone. It is carried by the blood, and when it reaches the gallbladder, it will cause contraction of gallbladder, and it causes the release of bile from gallbladder into the intestine, that is in the duodenum. So up to this we have studied in the previous class. Now the enterohepatic circulation. We have studied how the bile salt is important. In the digestion of fat. How bile salt is important in the digestion of fat. Now enterohepatic circulation. As the name suggests, enterohepatic circulation. Enterohepatic circulation means it is the circulation. It is the recirculation of bile salt. It is the recirculation of bile salt from liver to small intestine and back again. It's called the enterohepatic circulation. Again, enterohepatic circulation means the recirculation of bile salts from liver to small intestine and again back to liver is called enterohepatic circulation. So why enterohepatic circulation is important? This enterohepatic circulation is important because the bile salts are limited. In the liver, bile salts are limited in the pool of bile salts. Because bile salts are limited in the pool of bile salts, and that bile salts are responsible for breakdown and absorption of fat because of limited pool of bile salts. And because of limited pool of bile salts available for digestion and absorption of fat, so enterohepatic circulation is required because total amount of bile salts in the circulating pool is only 2.5 to 3.6 gram. Again, I am repeating it. Total amount of bile salts. Total amount of bile salts available in the circulating pool. Circulating pool is the 2.5 to 3.6 gram. But the requirement of bile salt. But the requirement of bile salt is 4 to 8 gram. 4 to 8 gram of bile salts are needed for digestion of fat. Digestion of fat in each meal. In each meal, it will require 4 to 8 gram of bile salts to digest all the fat. So it is insufficient. Means in the circulating pool only 2.5 to 3.6 gram of bile salts are available, but the requirement for digestion and absorption of fat in each meal is 4 to 8 gram. So it has to circulate, it has to recirculate, it has to recirculate twice or thrice. It has to recirculate twice or thrice in each meal for digestion of fat. So enterohepatic circulation is required. Again, enterohepatic circulation is the recirculation of bile salts from liver to small intestine and back again. And why this circulation is important? This circulation is necessary because of limited pool of bile salts. Because bile salts available are limited. Only 2.5 to 3.6 gram of bile salts are available in the pool, circulating pool. But in each meal, the requirement of bile is 4 to 8 gram. So it has to circulate twice or thrice, to digest all the fat. So enterohepatic circulation is necessary. So when the bile salts reach terminal ileum, 90 to 95% of the bile salts are reabsorbed into the portal circulation. It will keep on circulating. It will keep on circulating until all the fats are digested, or until all the fats are reabsorbed. If we have taken more amount of fat, then bile salts will recirculate many times. This bile salts will recirculate many times until all the fat get reabsorbed. The liver then excrete, and the liver 90 to 95% of the bile salts, get reabsorbed from terminal ileum, and remaining 5 to 10% of bile salts are excreted in the feces. Again, 90 to 95% of the bile salt get reabsorbed from the terminal ileum, and the remaining 5 to 10% of the bile salts are excreted in the feces. The amount of bile salt that is excreted in the feces is again resynthesized by the liver. Again, what I am telling that 90 to 95% of the bile salt get reabsorbed from the terminal ileum, and remaining 5 to 10% of the bile salts are excreted in the feces. The amount of bile salt that is excreted in the feces is again resynthesized by the liver. This is the diagram. Showing the enterohepatic circulation. Bile salts are synthesized by the liver. Now, enterohepatic circulation is the recirculation of bile salt. It is the recirculation of bile salt from liver. It is the recirculation of bile salts from liver to intestine, and from intestine to liver, and again back to intestine, from intestine to liver. In this way, it will go on recirculating. It will go on recirculating until all the fats get reabsorbed. We have said that in the circulating pool, or in the bile salt pool, there is 2.5 to 3.6 gram. 2.5 to 3.6 gram of bile salts are in the bile salt pool. But during each meal, it requires 4 to 8 gram of bile salts. So it has to circulate twice or thrice. to digest. It has to circulate twice or thrice to digest all the fat. And 5 to 10% of the 5 to 10%, that is 0.2 to 0.4 gram of bile salts are excreted in the feces. And this much amount, the amount that is excreted in the feces, is again synthesized by the liver. In this way, bile salts will go on circulating until all the fats get reabsorbed. The total circulating pool of bile salt is approximately 2.5 grams. About 4 to 8 grams of bile salt is required for digestion of fat during each meal. Mostly circulate twice or thrice during digestion of each meal. So consequently, bile salt usually circulate 6 to 8 times daily. It means that if we take greater amount of fat, if we take large amount of fat, then this bile salt will recirculate many times. It will circulate many times until all the fats get reabsorbed, and the bile salts that is extruded in the feces get synthesized by the liver. Now, clinical application of enterohepatic circulation. What is the clinical application of enterohepatic circulation? Because bile salts are required for proper digestion and absorption of fat. And if the conditions like ileal resection, if there is resection of the ileum or small intestinal disease such as sprue or Crohn's disease, this will disrupt enterohepatic circulation. It means that if there is disease in the intestine, or if intestine is removed, then fat absorption or fat digestion is disrupted, or enterohepatic circulation is disrupted. Means there will be deficient of bile salts. It means there will be deficient of bile salts. And we have already studied that bile salts are important for digestion and absorption of fat. If there is no bile salts, then there will be no proper digestion of fat. So this leads to decreased bile salt pool and malabsorption of fat and fat-soluble vitamin. And clinical manifestation should be steatorrhea. Steatorrhea means increased fat content in the stool. Now, the stool contains much increased amount of fat. Stool contains increased amount of fat. There will be nutritional deficiency due to malabsorption because the fat-soluble vitamins will not be absorbed. Fat-soluble vitamins will not be absorbed. There will be diarrhea. This why their diarrhea occurs? Because these bile salts help in the absorption of water. Bile salts help in the absorption of water. If there is no bile salts, then there will be no absorption of water, so their diarrhea occurs. Again, clinical manifestation will be steatorrhea. Steatorrhea is a condition. Steatorrhea is a condition when there is no availability of fat, availability of bile salts, because bile salts help in the absorption of fat, digestion and absorption of fat. There will be also nutritional deficiency due to malabsorption, that is, fat-soluble vitamins will be not reabsorbed, and there occurs diarrhea. Again, clinical application is why enterohepatic circulation is necessary. Enterohepatic circulation is necessary because of limited pool of bile salts. Limited pool of bile salts available, but during each meal or when more amount of fat is taken, then it requires much amount of bile salts to fulfill the digestion, or to fulfill the requirements. It has to circulate many times. Because bile salts are absorbed from terminal ileum. If there is disease of the intestine, like sprue or Crohn's disease. Crohn's disease is simply the inflammation of bowel, inflammation of the small intestine. If there is inflammation or disease or resection of the intestine, then there will be disruption in the enterohepatic circulation. There will be not sufficient amount of bile salts. If there is no sufficient amount of bile salts, then all the fats are not digested, or all the fats are not reabsorbed, or not reabsorbed. So the stool contains increased amount of fat. This is called steatorrhea. And there will be nutritional deficiency due to deficient malabsorption of fat-soluble vitamins, and there will be diarrhea. Now, bile pigments. There are two pigments. Bile pigments are the bilirubin and biliverdin. Bile pigments are the bilirubin and biliverdin. Bile pigments are metabolites of hemoglobin formed in the liver. We have already studied that in hematopoietic system that bilirubin is produced from excessive breakdown of RBC. When RBC breakdown, then bilirubin is produced. Hepatic cell extract bilirubin and biliverdin from blood, conjugate them with glucuronic acid, and transfer them into bile canaliculi by an active transport mechanism. So they are responsible for this. They are responsible for golden yellow color of bile. due to conjugated bilirubin, bile color is golden. This is the diagram. This is the diagram showing how the bile pigments get reabsorbed. We have already studied that excessive breakdown of RBC. When RBC breakdown, when RBC breakdown, in RBC there are hemoglobin. When hemoglobin it breakdowns into heme plus globin. Globin is a protein and it goes into the amino acid pool. Heme part it again divided into iron plus protoporphyrin ring, and this tetrapyrrole ring or protoporphyrin ring it forms biliverdin, and this biliverdin get converted into bilirubin. This bilirubin is called unconjugated bilirubin. Again, heme plus hemoglobin, heme plus globin. Globin is a protein, it goes into the amino acid pool, and heme, it is formed by the iron plus protoporphyrin ring or pyrrole ring or tetrapyrrole ring. This tetrapyrrole ring, it forms the biliverdin. This biliverdin is again to form a bilirubin, and this bilirubin is called the conjugated bilirubin. This bilirubin is called the unconjugated bilirubin. And this unconjugated bilirubin is not water soluble. This unconjugated bilirubin is not water soluble. It combines with albumin. So unconjugated bilirubin combines with albumin, and albumin carries this unconjugated bilirubin to the hepatocytes. And these hepatocytes, it will take up the bilirubin. It will take up the unconjugated bilirubin and leaves the albumin. In the hepatocytes, this bilirubin conjugate with UDP glucuronic acid. This bilirubin conjugate with UDP glucuronic acid to form bilirubin glucuronide. This forms the bilirubin glucuronide. This bilirubin glucuronide or bilirubin diglucuronide is the conjugated bilirubin, or it is the water soluble bilirubin. Again, unconjugated bilirubin is not water soluble, and this combines with the albumin in the blood, and when it reaches the hepatocytes, hepatocyte will take the unconjugated bilirubin and it leaves the albumin in the blood. This unconjugated bilirubin, it conjugated with UDP acid to form the conjugated bilirubin, that is bilirubin glucuronide or bilirubin diglucuronide. This bilirubin glucuronide is conjugated bilirubin and it is water soluble, and by active transport this hepatocytes, it will pour this conjugated bilirubin to bile canaliculi. This is a bile canaliculi. Now conjugated bilirubin, that is water soluble bilirubin, has come to the bile canaliculi. This conjugated bilirubin has come to the bile canaliculi, and ultimately from bile canaliculi it will drain into the duodenum. It will ultimately drain into the duodenum through common bile duct into the duodenum. Duodenum is the small intestine. In the duodenum, this conjugated bilirubin will get converted into urobilinogen by the bacterial action. In the intestine or in the duodenum, by the bacterial action, this conjugated bilirubin get converted into urobilinogen. This is a water soluble. This urobilinogen, some of the urobilinogen get reabsorbed into the blood. Some of the urobilinogen get reabsorbed into the blood, and 5% of the urobilinogen is excreted by kidney in the form of urine. Now, most of the urobilinogen get absorbed in the blood, and 5% of the we are studying how the bilirubin is synthesized. How the bilirubin is synthesized by the hepatocytes. How the bilirubin is synthesized and how it is poured. How this bilirubin is excreted by the hepatocytes. We are studying one of the function of liver is excretion. One of the function of liver is excretion of bilirubin. So how the bilirubin is excreted? How the bilirubin is excreted? We are studying. We have already studied the function of liver. One of the function of liver is the excretion of bilirubin, and bile pigments. Bile pigments are bilirubin and biliverdin. This bilirubin is produced from where? When there is excessive breakdown of RBC, then hemoglobin will be exposed. Hemoglobin will be broken down into heme plus globin. Globin is a protein, and it goes into the amino acid pool. And this heme part, it is made up of iron plus porphyrin ring. This heme part, it is made up of iron plus protoporphyrin ring or pyrrole ring or tetrapyrrole ring. And this tetrapyrrole ring, it is converted into biliverdin. And this biliverdin is again converted into unconjugated bilirubin. This biliverdin is converted into unconjugated bilirubin. And this unconjugated bilirubin, it combines with albumin. This unconjugated bilirubin is not water soluble. It is not water soluble. It combines with albumin, and albumin will carry this unconjugated bilirubin to liver, into the liver. In hepatocytes, these hepatocytes will take the unconjugated bilirubin and leave the albumin. And in the hepatocytes, this unconjugated bilirubin, it becomes conjugated with glucuronic acid, and this forms the bilirubin diglucuronide. This conjugated bilirubin is called the water-soluble bilirubin. This conjugated bilirubin is called the water-soluble bilirubin. And now it is poured into the bile canaliculi. From bile canaliculi, it ultimately drain into the small intestine, that is in the duodenum, through ampulla of Vater. Now this now the conjugated bilirubin has come to the duodenum. In the duodenum, this conjugated bilirubin, by the action of bacterial action, it is converted into urobilinogen. This urobilinogen is water soluble. This urobilinogen is highly water soluble. So some of the urobilinogen get reabsorbed in the blood, and 5% of the urobilinogen is excreted by kidney in the form of urine. When urobilinogen get exposed to oxygen, it will form urobilin. When urobilinogen get exposed to oxygen or environment, then it gets oxidized and it is called urobilin. And most of the urobilinogen, it get resecreted. It get resecreted into the by the liver into the small intestine. Again, I am telling it. Some of the urobilinogen get reabsorbed in the blood, and 5% of it is excreted by kidney in the form of urine. And most of the urobilinogen is secreted by the liver again. Most of the urobilinogen is excreted by the liver, and it will drain into the small intestine. Some of the urobilinogen get reabsorbed in the blood, and 5% of it is excreted in the urine. And most of the urobilinogen, it is again taken by the liver. And it poured into the bile canaliculi, and it poured into the small intestine. This urobilinogen get converted into stercobilinogen. And when stercobilinogen get come in contact with the oxygen, it becomes stercobilin. It forms stercobilin, and it gives the color of the stool. And urobilin, it gives the color of the urine. Again, unconjugated bilirubin, when fragile RBC, unconjugated bilirubin is combined with the albumin carry, or albumin transfer the unconjugated bilirubin the hepatocytes up to the hepatocytes. Hepatocytes take the unconjugated bilirubin and get conjugated. The conjugated bilirubin is water soluble. And it gives the bile golden yellow color or greenish color. And this conjugated bilirubin gives the bile golden yellow color. When this conjugated bilirubin, it reaches the small intestine, that is in the duodenum, by the bacterial action, this conjugated bilirubin get converted into urobilinogen. And some of the urobilinogen get reabsorbed in the blood, and 5% of it is excreted in the urine. And most of the urobilinogen is excreted again back again by the liver into the small intestine. Small intestine, that is in the duodenum, and this urobilinogen get converted into stercobilinogen. When stercobilinogen get come in contact with the oxygen, it becomes stercobilin and it gives the color of the stool. Same, intestinal bacteria metabolize bilirubin further to urobilinogen, which is highly soluble. Some of the urobilinogen is reabsorbed through the intestinal mucosa back into the blood, and most of this is re-excreted by the liver back into the gut. About 5% of the excreted about 5% is excreted by the kidneys into the urine. After exposure to air in the urine, the urobilinogen becomes oxidized to urobilin. In the feces, it becomes oxidized to stercobilin. Now, gallstone. Gallstone. Gallstone formation is also called polylithiasis. Gallstone formation is also called the polylithiasis. So there are two types of gallstone. One is the cholesterol stones, other is the pigment stones. There are two types of gallstone. One is the cholesterol stone, other is the pigment stone or calcium bilirubinate stone. This is the mechanism how the gallstone is formed. For the formation of gallstone means stone in the gallbladder. And the process of formation of gallstone is polylithiasis. So how the gallstone is formed? If there are too much absorption of water from bile, because in the gallbladder bile is stored. In the gallbladder bile is stored. If there are too much absorption of water from the bile, too much absorption of bile acid from the bile, and too much cholesterol in the bile. If there is too much cholesterol in the bile, then it gets precipitated and gallstone is formed. If there is inflammation of the epithelium, there is gallstone formation. Now let's see. Cholesterol stone. Cholesterol stone accounts for 80 to 85% of the cases. Most of the cases are the cholesterol stones, and these are formed due to precipitation of cholesterol. Cholesterol stones accounts for 80 to 85% of the cases. And how the cholesterol stones are formed? Cholesterol stones are formed due to precipitation of cholesterol. Normally cholesterol is present in soluble form. Due to a proper ratio of bile acid, lecithin, cholesterol, that is 10:3:1. If the ratio of bile acid, lecithin and cholesterol, that is 10:3:1 is there, then there will be no cholesterol stones. This cholesterol is in the soluble form. This cholesterol will be in the soluble form. If the ratio of bile acid, lecithin and cholesterol is 10:3:1, then this cholesterol is in the soluble form. If there is any deviation, in this ratio, then cholesterol may precipitate. Again, I am telling it. Normally, cholesterol is present in soluble form. Due to a proper ratio of bile acid, lecithin, cholesterol. Ratio is 10:3:1. Means bile acid 10 parts, lecithin 3 parts, and cholesterol 1 part. If this ratio are there, if it maintains this ratio, then the cholesterol is in the soluble form. There will be no stone. If there is deviation from this ratio, and this will cause the cholesterol to precipitate and cholesterol stone is formed. And these stones are radiolucent. It means that it cannot be visualized on the radiograph. In the X-ray, these stones cannot be visualized. So cholesterol stones are not visualized in the X-ray. Cholesterol stones are not visualized in the X-ray. In the MCQs, you may be asked, what is the ratio? For the cholesterol to be in the soluble form? The ratio is the 10:3:1. That is bile acid 10 parts, lecithin 3 parts, and cholesterol 1 part. If it maintains this ratio, then cholesterol will be in the soluble form. If it deviates from this ratio, then cholesterol may precipitate, and it forms the cholesterol stone. And cholesterol stones are not visualized in the X-ray. Pigment stones. Pigment stones are also called calcium bilirubinate stone. Pigment stones are also called calcium bilirubinate stone, and it accounts for 15 to 20% of the cases of gallstone. And how these stones is formed? These stones are formed when the conjugated bilirubin in the bile is disconjugated by the action of beta glucuronidase found in the certain bacteria. Again, how this calcium stone is formed? We have studied that unconjugated bilirubin get conjugated in the hepatocytes, and conjugated bilirubin is poured into the bile canaliculi, and this conjugated bilirubin is poured into this bile canaliculi. And when the conjugated bilirubin in the bile is disconjugated, it again disconjugated by the action of beta glucuronidase found in the certain bacteria, it will again disconjugated conjugated bilirubin, and now the free bilirubin combines with calcium to form calcium bilirubinate, which is highly insoluble in bile. In this way, calcium stone is formed, and these stones are radio opaque, means these stones can be seen in the X-ray. Again, I am telling. Pigment stones are calcium bilirubinate stone. It accounts for 15 to 20% of the gallstone. Most of the cases are the cholesterol stone, and 20 to 15 to 20% cases are the gallstone. So how the calcium stones are formed? These stones are formed when the conjugated bilirubin in the bile is disconjugated by certain bacteria that will secrete enzyme beta glucuronidase, and this will disconjugate the conjugated bilirubin. It means that now the bilirubin get free. Now the bilirubin are free bilirubin. This free bilirubin now combines with calcium to form calcium bilirubinate, which is highly insoluble in bile, and this forms the calcium stone. And these stones are radio opaque, means this can be seen in the X-ray. Up to this, we have finished the stone. Now, in the next class, we will study jaundice, which is very important. In the SAQs, it will be always asked, or in the PBQ, jaundice is always asked. From the physiological aspect of view, how jaundice occurs, we'll study it. In the next class, we'll study the jaundice. Today we have studied what we have studied today. We have studied how important is the bile salt. How bile salt is important, because in the circulating pool, or in the circulating pool, only 2.5 to 3.6 gram of bile salts are available, but during each meal, the bile salts requirement is 4 to 8 gram. So to fulfill the requirement, it has to recirculate. It has to recirculate from liver to intestine, again from intestine to liver. In this way, it will recirculate many times. For normal diet or for each meal, it will circulate generally 2 to 3 times. Because for each meal, it requires 4 to 8 gram of bile salts. But in the circulating pool, only 2.5 to 3.6 gram of bile is available. So it has to circulate twice or thrice to meet the requirement for digestion of fat in each meal. When you have taken large amount of fat, then it has to circulate many times. From liver to intestine, from intestine to liver. In this way, it will circulate many times until all the fats are reabsorbed. Because we have studied that important function of bile salt is the digestion and absorption of fat.